The opinions expressed are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the official positions of the sponsors, advertisers, or presenters. Advertising does not imply endorsement by the sponsors and presenters.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lighting Controls Podcast. We have another fantastic guest for you today who has been on the show previously. This seems to be a running theme. But I would like to say, if you have an idea for the show or want to be a guest on the show, do not hesitate to reach out. We're constantly reaching out to new people, and we're more than happy to have people reach out to us as well. So I'll just toss that out there that if you're listening and you're interested, send an email. It takes 2 seconds. Before we jump into the conversation, let me take a minute to remind everyone today's episode is presented by the LCA, the newly rebranded LCA, the Lighting Controls Academy.
And it's financially supported by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, or NAILD. Check out our website, lightingcontrolspodcast.com. Got all of our episodes and a lot of information about the NAILD LSC if you want to learn about the new certification program we're working on. But also, huge shout out to our sponsor for this episode. We cannot do this without your support. MaxLight and their C-Max Lighting Controls platform. If you're unfamiliar with this platform, I really suggest that you check it out. Give it some thought, because it is a really cool solution for those projects that maybe you don't know what you need for lighting controls, or maybe you have an idea and you start with something, but then you realize you need to swap out components and do something different, or you want triple LC application. It is just a really great, solid platform for these applications. So check it out. maxlite.com/CMAX, and you can learn all about their plug-and-play solution with their controls-ready fixtures. Anyways, let's get into the conversation. So today we have Mitch. Mitch, we've had you on the show before, but for those who have not seen your episodes in the past, do you mind just giving us a quick breakdown on who you are and what you do?
I'll give that a try. I'm Mitch Hefter. I've been in the lighting controls industry for over 40 years, and up until last year, I was with Signify in various brands for over 29 years. I also chair the IES Lighting Control Systems Committee. I'm very active in ESTA on the Technical Standards Council, and co-chair the Electrical Power Working Group there. I'm very active in USITT from almost the beginning of my career, and one of the significant milestones there is I was overseeing the development of DMX 512, and I still chair the task group for that. And then I also sit on National Electrical Code. I represent IES on panel 15, and I'm the alternate representative for USITT on panel 13. I think that covers it. I've done a few things. I keep myself pretty busy. And yes, these days I have my own consulting firm, just looking for clients to help them out what I can with the code standards, AutoCAD support, whatever. So
yeah, we'll have a link in the description if you want to give a quick elevator pitch for your company, because I believe this is fairly new that you're doing this.
Yeah, well, it was just over a year ago. Signify did a restructure, a reduction in force, and I was part of that. I wasn't quite ready to stop yet. I'm not. I'm still doing stuff, but now I'm doing it under my own name, and still get support from lots of people. So it's really appreciated.
No, it's great, and we'll have a link in the description to your company, and absolutely a great resource to have in this industry, especially for people who don't really know how to navigate code. For the people who aren't really familiar with the other acronyms that you used, ESTA and USITT, do you mind just giving a little explanation of those two groups?
USITT is the United States Institute for Theater Technology, which is now 65 years old. It's an association for people in the technical side of the entertainment industry, the live theater. industry. And it's been developing some standards and stuff, which a lot of that is now taken up by ESTA. We'll come to ESTA in a moment. It has a conference every year with lots of programming. It supports a lot of efforts in the industry, very active organization. And I've been involved with that well over 40 years as well. And
Sure.
served on the board. I was engineering commissioner, which was my role when we developed DMX 512. I'm on various committees, and I present information at conferences and and events outside of the conference, which is held generally March of every year. ESTA is the Entertainment Services and Technology Association, and it started, I guess it was 30 some years ago, actually as a theatrical dealers association, a trade association, so a little different aspect on the entertainment world than USITT, although there's a lot of cooperations between the two. In 1994, they made Theatrical Dealers Association made some updates, revised bylaws, and became the Entertainment Services and Technology Association, and opened up membership to a broader group of people. And one of the prime reasons for doing that was to develop an ANSI ANSI standards development program. And it's known as the Technical Standards Program. There are over 80 different documents, some of them still in process. Most of them are ANSI standards. And again, some of the USITT development in its early days were transferred to ESTA, so it has the ANSI moniker or whatever, or appellation. ANSI, as IES does a lot of ANSI standards, ESTA does ANSI standards, and they are again geared towards the entertainment industry. And these are safety standards as well as protocol standards, not just DMX 512. There's other standards in there, mechanical, electrical power. Also works with the Event Safety Alliance for some very specific safety for events and the special areas in there. So it does a lot of good stuff. The ESTA meets generally 4 times a year for face-to-face discussions, meetings about the standards. There's constant stuff all year round. It's open to anybody who wants to participate. There's a small participation fee to help fund the program. But again, anyone can be involved. And just like in the National Electrical Code, which is part of the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, anybody can get involved and contribute. So a lot of input, they all come together, and it may sound dry to some people, but a lot of us do have a good time. We have fun with it, and we really enjoy doing it, and then it does good for everybody. So
definitely. No, I mean, the standards that have come out of that collaboration really are valuable assets to this industry, let alone the entertainment industry. So really appreciate the hard work that you and the rest of the people at ESTA put in, and USITT as well.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, the other thing here is that you're involved in the lighting controls committee for IES, and there's some news coming out of that group, right?
Right. Well, the revision to LP6, which is a total rewrite and restructure, and we worked quite a while on that. That is, my understanding is it's at ANSI for its final approval from them on our process and development. So it should be coming out very soon. We did do a presentation, a virtual presentation at Leducation, filling everybody in. That was just as the public review was completing. We did that, and So that, again, that's moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
LP16, which is the control intent narrative sequence of operations, that's been out for a couple of years. It's been very well received, and there's some additional work expanding on that in process, which you know more about, Webster, than I do.
Sure.
Than I do. But it's great, and that it's a 5-year cycle, so it's likely in the next couple of years we'll start doing. Taking a look and making any updates or tweaks that are necessary.
Sure.
Then there's also
No, but I mean, it's. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, well,
I was just going to say.
I'll finish.
I was
then
just
you
going to
go.
say. Okay, go ahead.
All right, RP42, which is dimming dimming control and methods designation, or it's the other way around. I should know. I chair that task group. Let's see. I actually have it up. There it is. Recommended practice for dimming and control method designations. That came out several years ago, and our revision is complete. It is in the process of going through IS's final steps, and it will be out for public review possibly the end of the year. So those are the ones.
Those are great. I mean, they're excellent documents. They really support our industry in a lot of different ways, and give guidance where we really needed that guidance, especially like LP16 giving guidance on control intent narratives and sequence of operations. But we've spent a lot of time talking about LP6 and 16, but that third one that you were talking about, we haven't talked about at all on this show. So it would actually be kind of cool to give us a little breakdown on that one.
Okay, so now that I hid the document, there it is. So this is, in my practice over the years, designing lighting control systems as a manufacturer. It was very frustrating sometimes looking at some of the schedules and documents, or even some of the data sheets for various manufacturers, luminaires. It's like, okay, I was working for Signify, but I'm controlling this luminaire that's from, let's say, Acuity, right? Or, again, there's a whole number of them out there, Zoom, whatever. You guys know some of those names better than I do. And I'm trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, how am I controlling this? Is this a 10-volt control? Is it Dolly? Is it TMX512? Is it something else going on? Is it actually dimmable or not? And is it, even if it's dimmable, is it meant to be switched, or is it meant to be dimmed? And that happens a lot. The other thing is, and probably the most frustrating one for me was, we were doing a lot of architectural type installations, hotel lobbies, office spaces, whatever. And now, the traditional light bulb is LED, and some of those are dimmable, some of those are not dimmable. Some of them can only be controlled with forward phase, or leading edge, or reverse phase, trailing edge. And you look at some of those data sheets, dimmable. Well, how do I control it? So it drove me nuts, and I know I wasn't the only one. So I suggested this many years ago, why don't we come up with a standard short-term designation? Because sometimes with these data sheets, you can figure it out. It may take you 2 or 3 pages in. That's happened to me a number of times. And it's like, okay, right where they're doing the nice shortcut up front, they say dimmable, just add LE or FPC or whatever. Tell us how you plan to do it. Sometimes it's not, complete enough. Because with Dolly, you have parts that are implemented. You may say, but again, that's important. You've got your first step. Now you got to figure out, well, is this DT6 or DT8, which is the next level of what you have to do. But when trying to make that easier and easier for some of the specifiers. So we came up
Mm-hmm.
with a table of pretty common designations and tried to sort of codify it, if you will. The first reaction we got from some of the manufacturers is, "I'm not changing my part numbers. You know how expensive that is?" No. And we say it and we emphasize it even more in the revision. This is a recommendation where, you put it on your cut sheets. That's something that's a little more easily done these days than it was even when we started this. Just
Right.
add that information. If you want to change your part number, fine. But and the other thing is, again, depending on the brand, and even within one company, Signify's different brands, and I'm only picking on Signify because I work there and I know this. But some of one brand will refer to a 10 volt control fixture with a DIM. Another one will say 10V. And so, it's like, which one am I doing here?
Right.
And a lot of them, depending on the driver you put in, which is often an option, it can switch around. And so we'd spend a lot of time trying to sort that out. And I've had projects go down to, luckily I had a control available that I could switch between LE and TE, leading edge and trailing edge. But they wouldn't know until, the job was ready for startup, because the light bulbs were, the lamps were the last thing to be done. They weren't actually being supplied through the normal process, which, with everything else, which I found a little crazy, but okay, I understand it too. And, but, not all products, have that ability. And so what do you do? And so we're just trying to give a handle on it. So this time we've expanded on that, refined some definitions. We've made a distinction between some of them, which are, like Zigbee is, everybody knows what that is, but this way, my hue lights in my house are Zigbee controlled. I can't use that control to talk to some of the other Signify fixtures, which are wireless running on Zigbee, or, again, anybody else's. So we've broken those out and say, okay, you've got a base point here, but it may be a proprietary implementation beyond that, which is a little different than where Dolly and DMX 512, there's extensions that are published and documented, but the proprietary ones, it's a little more involved. So how you get those levels of interoperability, compatibility, and this is just supposed to be another tool to do that. And so it's a very short document, maybe 15 pages or whatever, and that includes all the the 3 or 4 before you get started, before you get to the table of contents. So it's a pretty short one. And so, again, keep an eye out, the public review, end of the year, beginning of next year, and let us know what tweaks we need to make on that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, because it still happens today, right? I mean, I had a data sheet for a product recently for an installation, and it said that it was line voltage dimmable. It's like, that's great. What does, tell me what that actually means so I can put the appropriate dimmer in place. And you mentioned drivers, like a lot of people just use 0 to 10, but that 0 to 10 means different things depending on the driver. Is it truly 0 dim to off, or is it 1 to 10, or what's the minimum scale? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? At what point is the fixture stable? There's so much information that is truly lacking from data sheets.
Yeah. Well, 10 volt is, we actually make the distinction between the 0 to 10 and the 1 to 10. And then we also put in the entertainment industry 10 volt control, which has been around forever. And in that case, the controller sends the signal out versus architecturally, you're syncing the signal. So the power for that signal is coming out of the driver. In the 0 to 10 volt in the entertainment industry, which is ESTA's E1.3 standard, that is flipped around. Now, there are some products can mix and match, but A friend of mine, at one of the other divisions at Signify, this happened a few years ago, and he got bit by that because they were expecting the entertainment side, and it wasn't, and that particular controller didn't work, so
No,
they had
totally.
to swap. They had to swap out hardware versus changing a setting. So,
Well, and I think that it definitely bears repeating, because this blows so many people's minds even today. Like it is a frequent occurrence when I have to like stop somebody and say, just so you know, the driver is providing the 10 volts. The dimmer is just a potentiometer adjusting that voltage. And
an
it's just
electronic
like,
one maybe, but yeah,
right.
yeah,
But regardless, all you're doing is syncing that voltage that's coming from the drivers. And again, like so many people expect the entertainment version, where that dimmer actually is a power supply in its own way. So I think hopefully people who are listening who don't realize that are now gonna like open up some kind of literature that talks about this, because it is very reality shaking.
The entertainment, the E1.3, that 10 volt protocol is not in common use as common use these days, but
Right.
it's still out there. But your point about the potentiometer, I worked on one project. This was a number of years ago, and they were having problems with the 10 volt drivers. This is architectural. It was a 1 to 10 volt. I don't even think the 0 to 10 volt version that's covered in the ANSI standard had come out at that point. And they were having all sorts of problems. Some of the fixtures weren't dimming, some weren't dimming, some were dimming, but it was funny. And huge project. And they said, well, we want somebody from the factory. We just don't want the sales guy. Well, the sales guy you have in that territory is really knowledgeable. But so they had me go out there, and we picked up a potentiometer from the local Fry's or whatever, because that way all the controls were totally out of it. And we got there, and we never actually had to hook it up, because then they discovered, the driver manufacturers, we discovered a problem in the firmware. And they updated the firmware, so the one problem went away, and some of the other problems were crossed wires. So in the 10 volt, 1 to 10 volt signal, it is polarity sensitive. And you cross them, you may get some dimming, but you will also get funny results. So it was a great trip, and a good time with the people, but it was kind of crazy. But yeah, we were ready to say, we know our stuff's okay.
Right.
And we got the potentiometer to prove it.
Right. No, and I think that is a fun little like in-house experiment for people to do if they have a 0 to 10 volt fixture. Just get like a potentiometer that has the right resistance on it, and you just
at least 10 k ohms, and a linear taper. You don't really want a logarithmic or audio taper, because that'll really confuse things.
For sure.
So you want it to be, at the halfway setting, you want it to be halfway, and if it's the logarithmic, you're not going to be there, because the logarithmic's designed for audio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's a whole different experience with a logarithmic dimming curve than a linear dimming curve. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like stuff like that is so critical. So I'm curious. We just had Carol from the Dolly Alliance on a previous episode, and I'm curious, with the new standard, are you addressing the new Dolly terminology that's coming out for Dolly 2, D4i, and all of that?
Yeah, we list Dolly, Dolly 2, and D4i, and it's in the tables there. So, and we don't do, there's pointers, references, in the document, and we do, a very short commentary on what it's about. And, but, you want the details, that's for somewhere else. Actually, LP6 has a lot more information on that.
For sure. Yeah, and so shifting over to LP6, what are the big changes that are happening in that one?
All right. Well, I know you talked to Yolit recently. I haven't had a
Yep,
chance to view that one. She chaired that task group, so
for sure.
I don't know if you guys talked about it then, but
We
it's
didn't really get into the weeds of it, so I
okay.
Yeah.
think we don't have to get into the weeds on it here either. At
Yeah,
some point, it would be great to have a deep dive, but maybe we'll get
sure.
Yolite back on the show.
Sure. I mean, but it covers everything. I mean, it could be a basis for various classes. It's for
Hmm.
those who aren't familiar. LP6 is lighting practice, lighting control systems, properties, selection, and specifications. And we go from some of the very basic stuff. We do discuss protocols and
Hmm.
standards throughout it. So, yeah, I'm looking at the scope. We have a scope, of course. Uh, Basically, we broke it down into two main parts. Introduction to lighting controls. This is for definitely good material without going super deep on the
Yeah.
fundamentals. The role of lighting controls in buildings, design factors, some economic factors, some integrations, a little discussion of wiring classes, and then part two is lighting control in practice, and we do a deeper dive and give more information on energy and building, excuse me, and building codes. We go into the documentation, which is talking about everything from uh, your OPR
Mm.
all the way through to final completion. Uh, and we do point to commission, which is a different committee in IES LP8. That's also getting ready to come out for its update and public review. But
Hmm.
so we try not to duplicate. There's pointers and there's going to be some information with overlap. But we go through that. We updated a lot of the graphics. We give some examples, and I don't know if the presentation we did for education is available somewhere, but we did
Mm.
an hour long session, and Carol was part of that team. Elite Harold
Hmm.
Jepson, who I've had,
Wow.
uh, and Casey Deers and myself were all part of that,
Hmm.
and gave a good summary. We made changes due to the public review, but uh,
Right.
the content's basically unchanged from that. But yeah, it's this one's a longer document. It's I don't know what the final formatting, but the final
Hmm.
draft I'm looking at says 172 pages. So
Wow.
this is not like read. You can read RP42 in about 15, 20 minutes. You'll be
Right.
maybe twice in that time. LP6 will take a little bit longer, but there's a lot of information for you to go back
Hmm.
and look at. And once you get comfortable with certain things, you may not go to the first part. You go to the second part.
Right.
So it's a lot of good information. We spent a long time on that, but it's I wouldn't. It's significantly different, but not maybe
Hmm.
not earth-shatteringly different. We than the original version. We went deeper and rearranged to try to make it a little more. This is how the process goes. Here's where things fit. When you talk about sensors, we go quite a bit there. Talk about the different levels of control. Your local room control, simple network, and enterprise, which we didn't use. We referenced the term enterprise, but I'm trying to figure out where I put that here. Um,
Hmm.
but we talk about the different types of systems
Sure.
and how they network together or not network. Um, so yeah, be looking for that. It's been with ANSI for a while. It's a little longer than usual. Usually they turn it
Mm.
around quite quickly, but it comes back from them and some typesetting. So that one you should see available
Sure.
hopefully in the next couple of months. The
Nice.
others
So
public reviews beginning of the year.
as you're working through documents like LP6 like that, and you're getting
Mm-hmm.
into some of that nitty gritty, like
Mm-hmm.
right as far as like networking, and if you guys use the word gateway at all, and certain things, right? How do you sort of deal with some of the nuances and stuff between? Obviously, it's generic, right? But how do you deal with some of that where one manufacturer refers to their system as networked and another refers to theirs as networked, but they're completely different? And multiple manufacturers may use the word gateway, but they mean different things to the manufacturer. How do you address the things like that in the documents?
Consensus, because we actually, not to be flippant, but we go through some of that, and we've got consultants on there, manufacturers in the task group. We have people like Carol from the Dolly Alliance. Everybody putting a piece in, and some people may not like the term, and I know certain terms I've seen for products it's definitely uniquely used, but that's what we try to do. I mean, it's again, we spent a couple of years on this, going through it all and trying to give that breakdown and generically. So if someone says, "Well, wait a minute, that's a bridge." Well, is it a gateway? Is it a bridge? Well, in our description, this is what it is. The manufacturer may be different. You know how to adjust. So, yeah.
Well, I think
that's the whole process. We met, every couple of weeks for a couple of hours, and it took a time. So,
yeah, no, and I think that is a very necessary thing. As Ron alluded to, manufacturers have different words for different things, or the same word for different things, and so having that kind of document, at least generated through consensus and committee approval, does help steer us in the right direction. We created a nailed LSC, and we tried to come up with a list of definitions ourselves. And there were meetings where we were just sort of like, all right, like, I guess this is the definition we're going with. But it's like, it's so hard to pin it down sometimes.
Yeah. And it was like when particularly in RP42, should we use just leading edge and trailing edge, or forward phase control, reverse phase control? So FPC, RPC. Well, and then some people use the term cut instead of control. One of the comments is we shouldn't use TE and LE. Well, we ended up rejecting that comment in the consensus, because it's like, okay, maybe from your point of view, but I see that as a predominant term in what I've been dealing with over the years. It doesn't mean it's either one, so we left both in. So, that's one where we're going to have, people are going to know what both of them means, and again, it's a recommended practice. Of course, it goes through the ANSI certification, but it's not meant to be a code or a standard. But we're trying to have that consensus, a common reference point for everybody. So.
Right, and that is the challenge, because of the fact, if you don't have any resources like that, then it does kind of become a Wild West. Whereas if you at least have something out there, you can point to that at some point if you're really butting heads with somebody, and it's like, okay, at least there's some guidance out there. Like, let's agree that we're at least talking about what IES has defined as this. And so because otherwise miscommunications happen way too often. And in the controls world, that's really could be the death of a project.
Yeah, and again, we have lots of charts and tables, and we talk again as OPR, the control intent, the basis of design. We go through some. I mean, again, I'll admit times it's like I had to do my review for the committee. I took several days, because you can only go so long at it.
Yeah.
But
it's like reading the dictionary.
It's not quite that dry.
Well, sure.
But yeah, it's
I mean,
sometimes you have to dig it.
what's great about it is that it does have structure. Like you're right.
Yes.
It's not just reading the dictionary. It has a form to it. You start off with more high level stuff, and then you start getting more narrow throughout the chapters. So I think it really does a good job of presenting that information for somebody. Sometimes it is a little too technical for some people, and I don't blame them. But at the same time, there are other great resources out there that supplement that document.
And again, that's part of the reason we broke it down into the two parts, the fundamental and the more detailed approach, to make it a little more digestible than we did the first time around.
No, I think that was a really good choice for sure.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, so the other document I feel like we've talked a lot about recently because of the Lighting Controls Academy's Design Express that's coming out. But what kinds of feedback have you heard about that document? It's been really widely praised for its initiative to try to give guidance on these sorts of things, and so I imagine a good amount of that is
you're talking LP16, of course.
Yes, sorry, LP16.
Yeah, control intent narrative, sequence of operation. I've heard a lot of good things. I did right after we published it. I don't know if it was the original time, but anyhow, I talked to one lighting designer that I've known for many years, and the comments were, the chart approach which appears, and I know that's some of the stuff you're working on. She doesn't like it at all. She had valid reasons, and I said, "Great," And she showed me how she does it in projects, which works quite well. It's not an absolute, and I suspect when we go about doing a reaffirmation or revision in a couple of years, we'll look at some of that input. We're just here's something to lean back on to get you started. But her approach was a little more detailed in certain respects, and pictures of each device and whatever. And I've seen that in projects, not just hers, but various projects over the years. And I've seen the some of the chart approach that was we put in there, and we even have some variations on that. We also reference that in LP6, but we try not to do too much. We want to they need to be standalone. As much as possible. I'm looking forward to see what comes when we get ready to revise that. So.
Well, and that's what I'm curious is did you get any comments sort of right away after LP16 or even just in the last little bit where you got some comments where you're like, man, I really wish you had said something during public review, or you wish it was something you could have added that obviously now you have to wait until you get to that next revision?
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't, other than that one discussion with the lighting designer, which I value her input. It was very valid. I've heard pretty much common praise. Now, one thing, unless I'm misspeaking, the way IES is on a continuous revision process with ANSI. So somebody had a real big issue. They could make a submission, and we open up that section of the document for revision, and that can be done. We don't have to wait 5 years. And same thing happens with ESTA. You don't have to wait 5 years. You have to do something. We had one standard in ESTA that we started the work within 5 years, but it got bogged down for a lot of very valid reasons, and it actually lost ANSI status because it went too long, and it got within a few months after that we were out again.
Right.
It's bad, but that happened. People are still using it just because could when ESTA made that available, they had to take the ANSI logo off during that period of time, and now it's back on. And one thing I want to point out about the ESTA, all the ESTA standards are available for free download. There's no cost to those.
That's right. Yeah,
So,
we'll have a link in the description to the ESTA standards
yeah,
portal, because they are excellent resources to tap into
yeah,
for free.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I think the challenge here, with all of this documentation, all of these
Mhm.
terminology, and just trying to find consensus, really does depend on people participating in that conversation, though. So,
Mhm.
in my wrap up here, really
Absolutely.
the first thing that I want to say to people who are listening, who are like, "Man, I really wish X, Y, and Z," it's like, okay, make a comment or get involved in the committees, because like
Yep.
that's how you make these changes. That, like, if you
Yeah,
don't say anything and you just churn the rumor mill and complain about it, well, nothing's ever going to happen and change that. So,
yeah,
these kinds of guidelines are really helpful for our industry to move forward, to be able to reach that level of consensus.
yeah. Yeah, I actually had a discussion with Nathan Williams a few days ago,
Hmm.
um, talking to him about his session with you guys, and talking
Yeah.
about updating the NEC. Is Nathan, you have to make a proposal. Anybody can do that. I remember way back in my early days on the panel, we had a submission. I can't even remember what it was for, but
Hmm.
it was from Arnie's Bait and Tackle. He had something about the part of the code our panel addressed with, and he made a submission, and that's fine. There was
Hmm.
one person this was a number of years ago now. I think he made something on the order of 1,200 submissions, which
Wow.
is interesting. Yeah, well, we didn't know it was he teaching a vocational
Right.
school track on the electrical code, or this was homework assignments. He was a retired technical editor for one of the electrical industry, and he went through. It was interesting because occasionally he would submit on the same paragraph early on and later on, and they conflicted with each other.
Oh, jeez.
But that's okay. They all got, that's part of the process with the electrical code.
Right.
You get, all that together. And I'd like to do one plug for that. The 2026 edition just came out
Mm.
about a week ago. You can view it for free online. And because of the potential for, they're looking to restructure the code for the next cycle, very
Hmm.
different format. Content will be the same. It's just going to be organized better. They hope for better flow. And
Nice.
anyhow, so what's happening is public input for revisions to the 26 code. Don't worry about where it'll end up in the future. Just you want to make a
Hmm.
change to 520.10, you propose that.
Right.
The NFPA staff
So
and
it's
code
out for
publishers will.
public review right now, is what you're saying.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, the way NFPA works is they publish it.
Hmm.
Normally, they wouldn't start public input until January. This year, public input started yesterday, the 30th.
Wow,
We're recording this on
that's
October
great.
1st. It's
Yeah.
available. But it also, the other thing that happens, because now they're going to have to go back and do all the adjustments, it
Mm,
also closes in April, public input instead. Normally it would be January to June or July. Now it's uh, now until April. So a number of things in the
sure.
first part of the revision process are pushed up. So don't think you have as long as you used to on this cycle,
Right.
but
Well,
it's
and
out there, and it's a restructure, reordering to help
mhm,
flow, but content doesn't necessarily change.
sure.
You know,
So there weren't any revisions to like the emergency lighting controls requirements yet.
yeah, there was
Oh, there
minor,
was. What
yes.
was the minor change?
Well, what we did is the language in 700.24, which we've talked about before. This is the
Yeah.
directly controlled emergency luminaires.
Ah, yep,
Hmm.
yep.
Yep.
Okay,
Hotly
that
debated
what
topic.
hotly debated. Debate's not over. The structure in the 23 code, I think people were much happier with how it was based, and it basically said if you you have certain default behaviors, and there's no active signal, you don't necessarily have to get the complementary UL 924 listing. it's still an active
Mm-hmm.
signal,
Mm-hmm.
you do need to do that. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
restructure that so now it's very clear. There's an A and a B. And A, it
Mm.
says if it's this, you don't need the listing, and B, if it is, or the other way, I can't remember the order. I think A is if it's active, B, if it's not an active signal, it's just a disconnect and default behavior.
Sure.
And with that, there was still some discussion about that, and we know there's going to be some proposal for the next edition to do a little
Sure.
more tweaking to that. There might even be a C. Well, we'll see what
Sure.
happens. So there was that change in the emergency lighting control. It came out in the last edition. It's becoming more common now. Class 4 wiring, which keep an eye on that. I still need to learn more about that.
Sure.
More stuff has been written on that in the code. A lot of the stuff that I worked on panels 13 and 15, for the most part, I don't think were that dramatic. But they're, public input's going to say they still don't like her. They want to improve it. It's a very well-run process. It's consensus as well. And so anyhow, it's available. You can view it for free. There's
We'll also
other
have
tools.
a link in the description to that as well. I mean, there's a lot going on right now, and we're almost out of time here. So I do want to wrap this up because it's for people who are really in the weeds. Like, this is like the nectar of their life to be able to go, okay, what's new, what's happening, what's changing. For people who are not in the weeds and are just sort of listening to us banter here, I'm just like, I don't know what they're talking about, but it sounds interesting. Basically there are standards and they're not codes. They're not like enforceable requirements unless they are adopted by a code and enforced. So the National Electrical Code is mandated by jurisdictions. And inside of the National Electrical Code are standards such as UL 924 and UL 1008.
They're referenced. They're
referenced. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, they're not part of it, but they're referenced. Yes,
they're referenced, and then that way it points to that standard that was written by a committee such as ESTA or IES, and so that's part of the conversation with these standards. But the other part is just for guidance and clarity within the industry. So, if you want to have a explicit and generic definition for something, then maybe you look in LP6 to find that. Or if you want some guidance on how to create a control intent narrative or sequence of operations, you look at LP16. Or you want the initialism for specifically this kind of 0 to 10 volt control. RP
42.
Which number? 42, RP 42. And so these
documents
know
that's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Maybe that was the document that the computer was talking about. But so all of these things, these resources are fantastic to tap into. If you're unaware of them, you should definitely take advantage of them. But also, if you have some comments, such as we had Nathan Williams on our podcast previously, who was, throwing some dirt around, partially on NEC, just because he felt very passionate about the topic. But make a comment, get involved, talk to the people. Most of the committees are fully open to having these discussions and evaluating because they're trying to do the best quality work possible. So I highly recommend anybody, even people who are like, I don't really know much about this subject. It's like, that's fine. Like, you are still a stakeholder in this industry. You should still be involved in the conversation. Like you said, Bait and Tackle Shop had a comment on NEC, still got the discussion to happen because it's important to talk about these things.
Yeah. And again, just, and we've all done this. We know something so well, we'll often think, well, I know it, so they must know it. And it's like, no, ask the question, right? Because that'll tell us you want to understand, and it may tell us, we got to do a better job of describing that. And that's been a key effort through the last several cycles of the code, is really to make it easier to understand. The usability is like how we reference things now is very consistent.
Right.
So that, again, if you tell us you're confused and this is what you think should be done, we'll learn from that. We'll figure out, well, yeah, that is a better way. Or we'll say no because of this, but we have to explain it too. You don't just get told no, you get told no because. So, yes, everybody can participate. We welcome that participation. It helps us make it better for everybody.
Awesome. Mitch, thank you so much. And you're right, right? Everyone should participate. And if you're not familiar with LP6 and LP16 and RP42 and any of the ESTA standards, if you're in the theater world, you should be checking out these documents. At least glance at them if you don't know what they are, right? If you listened and you got all the way to the end of the podcast here and you still don't know what some of these things are, you should be looking at them. And you're right, Mitch. Everyone needs to get involved, whether it's a simple comment or a misunderstanding, or you simply don't understand. There is a wealth of knowledge on all of these boards, all the advisors, everyone that participates. There's so much knowledge and information there. And if you are confused and you're newer to the industry and you just want to understand, there are some of the smartest people in the world on these committees and organizations who have the answers for you and would be happy to talk to you about it. Just like Mitch has been happy to come on here today and been on multiple times for these exact reasons. So thank you so much, Mitch. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I will close this out and remind everyone today's episode is presented by the newly rebranded LCA, the Lighting Controls Academy.
And it's financially supported by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, or NAILD. Check out our website, lightingcontrolspodcast.com. Got all of our episodes and a whole lot more. But also, huge shout out to our sponsor for this episode. We really can't do this without their support. MaxLight and their CMax Lighting Controls platform, plug and play, ready to go solution with their controls ready luminaires. I highly recommend you check it out if you're unfamiliar with it, because it's innovative. It uses USB-C technology for interconnections with the devices, and they are also a part of these conversations. They are involved in standardization, so they want to help elevate this industry. Definitely worth checking it out. Check it out, maxlite.com/CMAX. But thank you for joining us. And Mitch, thank you. This was an awesome conversation.